Do EDCers actually use the S word they carry, or is it just a form of fashion accessory now?
Why can't it be both, right?
Is premium steel worth it in an EDC knife? I will say no. Don't get the premium steel knife and get multiple different knives with budget steels. Should I carry a pen? I see other people carry pens, but for some reason they're all, $80 titanium machine pens. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carry the Way, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of everydaycarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Oh, what's up?
So if you're into EDC stuff at all, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. We upload weekly, so subbing will make sure you don't miss our latest content. And one other announcement, if this is your first time tuning in for a while, we're trying out a new format for the show. And along with that are more changes. We're moving to a dedicated podcast YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe there. The URL will be in the description, but it's youtube.com/@carrythewaypodcast. It's just the name of the show. And we'll keep you posted, but you can expect episodes starting to upload over there this July. And then the channel will be for short form and non-podcast videos here on @everydaycarry. So as part of the new format today, we're going to be looking at some more new EDC gear releases and then answering some of your questions about what things are worth it when it comes to EDC, and then give some specific recommendations. And then, as always, we're going to be admiring some EDC Pocket Up submissions. But first, we're going to do Pocket Check, as always. Mikey.
Nice. Alrighty. So I'm continuing my journey of fixed blades. This is going to be in our news one for next week, but this is one of the new Kaiser fixed blades. This is called the Smalt. So it's their kind of EDC friendly camp knife type thing. But what's really remarkable about this, it's only $70, but this is in 3V, which is a non-stainless steel, but it's one of the best. It's usually found in higher end fixed blade knives because of its extreme toughness. So it's going to hold an edge. It's going to be extremely tough. And the trade-off is between the three of those, it's the corrosion resistance that loses a bit of So I had to put, I actually cut myself trying to put some coating on it, just to just adding some oil. And I'm like, let me just try the edge a little bit and just cut straight to my finger. So I got this little, well, it's kind of like a medium-sized fixed blade. It's got a custom Kydex sheath. But CJRB also sent this little tiny one called the NAP, KNAP. And this one is a little tiny dagger-ish. So gotta be careful.
I think I saw that at SHOT Show.
Yeah, just got to be careful with this one because it is actually double-edged. But yeah, I'm kind of really careful. It also comes with its own little sheath here. So I got a little big boy fixie and a little small guy fixie, just trying out different things in the fixie journey. And
I'm
what
not
about you?
Quite a big boy yet. I don't think I'm responsible enough for a double-edged dagger like that, regardless of the size.
I can only carry that something that small. I'm too scared of the double edge.
I'm curious though, what are your thoughts on the handle shape of the Kaiser?
Yeah, the Kaiser
first knife.
Yeah, so this
looks just like a slab, just like a rectangle.
Yeah, it's actually pretty comfortable. You don't get a full finger grip. It kind of slips. If you're choking it up like this, my pinky is kind of like a little over the edge. So I wouldn't use this for like super hard use, but then it's got some jimping along the spine. So it's pretty good for, if I'm using it mainly for box processing, so not really big deal, but it's really comfortable. This combination of G10 with the micarta inlay is pretty neat. It's a nice combination. It's like the best of both worlds. So if your hands get wet or anything, you get a nice grip either way, and truly ambidextrous, nice versatile drop point. Sub 3 inches, which is like perfect for EDC. The sheath can get a little bulky because of the smally clip thing, but you can always take it off and then just keep it, carry it normally in your pocket. So just continuing my journey and finding the best EDC fixed blade, like can do like super tough stuff, and just trying out that side of the knife world. What about you? Anything new with you?
I don't know I think I've shown this before. This is the OAO. This is the Wii Knife OAO. I've been carrying this a little bit just because I got these like new black jeans, right? So then I just want like a black knife to go in them. But I have noticed that now that I'm using this, at first I was kind of scared too, just because it's so nice. It's like a $600 knife, titanium integral and all that. But one thing that's interesting is because it has like these carbon inlays, but the
Those are the
rest of it is
copper
still,
ones, right?
yeah, carbon with like copper. It's like kind of like a Damascus sort of like fat carbon kind of looking thing.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
But
nice one.
there's where there I get like a hotspot right here where the actual frame lock bar is,
Uh-huh.
because it's not like there's a separate piece where the inlay is, right? So there's like a little gap where if I, yeah,
Oh.
so if it's just like too hard,
And
I
this
can
is
feel
kind of
that.
like this is kind of like the hotspot zone, right? The
Yeah.
big fat meaty part of your palm.
Yeah, so like right in here is where I feel it, but I
Um,
mean, it's still like a really cool knife. It's just I think that's one thing that you kind of have to give up, I guess.
it's
Which is
unfortunate, right?
why,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's not even like there's a issue with the finishing because it is like chamfered and like the finishing is fine there. It's just the
Mhm.
construction by design. It's like there's an inlay over the piece of metal, so there will be a gap there because that metal moves, right? It's the lock.
Yep. Yep.
So when I want a similarly large, but like also titanium knife that is just more comfortable overall, then I'm using the Vosteed Psyop designed
Mm.
by Tough Knives. And this one is the smooth handle, but the smooth handle is actually kind of like um, curved. So it has some ergonomics there. And then this one, I get a full like choil and even a choil further up for to make space for the top liner lock. So
Yeah.
it just has like this really nice ergonomics to it for a knife of this size. So that's the other knife I'm using.
I don't know if you saw that Vosteed. We had a partnership video that you made comparing the mini and the large size, the original size.
Oh,
There's a lot of
yeah.
discussion
They're
talking
not
about
sponsored though by partnership, if
yeah,
that's what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the Instagram partnership feature
Yeah.
where it shows
Collab.
a collab. Yeah,
Collab. Yes.
yeah. So there was a lot of comments on their side, people talking about the pros and cons of the large versus this the mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty interesting because some people were even saying like they look nothing alike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have the mini here, but I don't know. Not like I have so many knives like this. So I
yeah.
like the full size.
You're not a fan
Um
of the modern, the bug out meta of
I
2024.
mean, I don't know about that, but let's while we're talking about while we're talking about the bug out meta, let's look into what news we're covering.
Hmm.
And the first is Benchmade's Adira, like water line,
The water
actually.
line,
So
yeah.
that includes the Adira and the mini Adira. I saw these at
Mhm,
SHOT Show earlier. I didn't get to go to Blade Show this year, unfortunately, or
mhm.
Atlanta, but I've seen these before, handled them before, and I think we're going to be getting some to
Yeah,
test out a little bit better. But
they've
this is, yeah, go ahead.
they've announced this for a while, and it's only come out
Hmm.
in the past month. So it's nice that they're actually shipping. But yeah, like you said, this is the new water line. This is a new series of knives, both folding and there's also non-folding ones or fixed blade
Yeah.
skinners, like a pairing sized one. And they're all yeah, there you go on the bottom. The distinct
Hmm.
quality here is they're all using MagnaCut,
Yeah.
and they're also using this new greenish tealish deep depth blue. Okay, they're calling it depth
Yeah.
blue
I'll try to zoom
handles
in a
for
bit.
it. Yeah.
I like this color a lot. And then one thing I think is just cool about the overall design language of the water series is the handle kind of looks like, I don't know, like the belly of a fish or something. But there's also this like cool texture that's built in. It's
it
kind of hard
it
to
reminds
see.
me of Aquaman's like superhero suit.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah,
elements
like
of a superhero
scales
suit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this kind of has like this pinwheel sort of tessellation motif across.
Mhm.
And it kind of reminds me of just like fins or something like fish. There's just something aquatic about it, but it does
Mhm.
give a little bit of texture towards the back
And
of the
even the
knife.
shape of the blade is kind of like a non-standard one, right? It's kind of
Hmm.
it's drop point at the end, but then it comes up in like kind of like a fish shape, I guess. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm reaching.
kind of has like a snout. I kind of see what you're saying, but
Yeah. And to those
yeah,
unfamiliar, MagnaCut's like the latest and greatest steel. It's second only to LC200N or Vanak Super Steel in pure corrosion resistance.
right.
Those are truly corrosion resistant, and this is like very close second, while still having toughness and also extreme edge retention also. So it's like
Right.
it's the reason
So
it's the
it makes sense to use in a series that's like the water series, right? That's made for being used in wet conditions and like fishing and that type of
yeah,
application.
exactly.
Which is why you see it the way it is. And
Yeah, so
what
this
else was I
Adira,
gonna say?
the main Adira and the mini Adira are kind of
Uh-huh.
like a crossover one. It's since it's a folder, it's also good for EDC magnet cuts, like not just for the water. I mean, it's one of the most
Yeah.
popular steels in general right now. So, but you do have fixed blade options. You have the larger, kind of like skinning type Adiras, and yeah, you have this undercurrent, and then there's a smaller one. I believe there's the smallest size of this part of the water series as well. That's
This
there, the
one,
intersect. That's the
intersect.
one. Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
sub 3-inch one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
2.85. So yeah, so there's a EDC friendly folder, the mini Adira, and then this intersect is the partner like fixie. Yeah,
Yeah, I
curious
will
about that.
say though, like I think they're all over $200.
Yeah,
Like the Adira is 250. What is the
yeah.
mini
When you
Adira?
start
But
comparing to stuff like you get 3V and $70 for this one,
yeah.
and like yeah, there was a I mean yeah there not to question like pricing and stuff and Beta
Mhm.
USA stuff, but yeah, there is a it is expensive. It's starting to get up
Yes.
there.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, people can say it's made in the USA, uses Magnica and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
that's and like they've had the patent for a long time on the access log, which is now not the case. But yeah, so I still don't know if most people would say like this replaces the bug out or something, right? Because we were talking about
Mhm.
the bug out hype. This is like
Yeah, yeah.
definitely more for the outdoorsy and
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
doing stuff in the water, right? But you can use it for EDC.
Mhm.
The only my only reservation is like some of the design elements are I think a little bulky for EDC.
Yeah,
Like this handle, it's like just so you get a really good grip when it's wet, right? And it has like choil and everything, this
yeah. And
texture, but the handles are a little bit
the
thin.
ramping spine also to form the quote unquote snout. It's a little bit
Yeah,
large. Yeah,
yeah. So that's just something to keep in mind.
yeah.
But overall, like it had a good showing at SHOT Show when it was unveiled, and
Yeah. And everybody
we'll
just
see.
like everybody's kind of like looking for an excuse to get Magna Cut in one form or another just because it's such
Mm-hmm.
a hot new steel. So if
Mm-hmm.
Benchmade is your thing, Benchmade has been my thing for like a really long time. I am kind of forced to pay the Benchmade tax from time to time, but if it's like a brand you enjoy and you're looking for an excuse to get more Magna Cut, then why not, right?
Yeah. But yeah, good release for the summer now. When you're doing your stuff outdoors in the
Mm.
water. So we'll move on to the
Monocular.
Nocs Provisions Zoom Tube waterproof monocular.
Mm.
Um, I've handled one of these a while ago, several years ago,
Mhm.
and it has this really interesting texture to it. So
Yeah.
it's really grippy. Just
Even
like if you look.
their even the
Mhm.
regular binoculars are uh, has this unique texture. It doesn't look like your garden variety black binoculars.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really nice for grip, and it looks a bit more modern as well. I like this. I like the texturing on the adjustment on the zoom also. So that's pretty
yeah.
cool. Have you ever used a monocular before?
Not like actually out in the wild. I just saw
Yeah.
this at a showroom, I think back when I was in New York, like testing or like looking at new products and stuff.
Mhm.
And I did handle these and it felt like pretty well made. But to be honest, like I'm not out there, using optics like this to have like a really solid opinion on this. This is one of
I
your finds, I believe.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
used to carry a small one. As a result, we talked about it last week, like movies and shows influencing our EDC. I
Hmm.
don't know if you know the show 24,
Yeah.
Kiefer
Jack Bauer.
Sutherland. Yeah, so he
Oh,
used to
well, yeah,
carry
that's his actual
yeah
name. Yes.
he used to carry a monocular from Brunton, the Brunton Echo, and
Right.
then Jason Bourne also has a different brand. I forget it now, but they're both also monocular users, and I'm like, it's not that expensive. It's something pretty pocketable. I just keep it in my bag just for random spying on people. No, just, just kidding. Just random. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you bring
Sport.
this to like a concert or like a sporting event? You can, right? It's like
Yeah, you can. You can.
it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
would be fun.
that's been mainly my use. Like we would watch, like, we don't get sometimes great seats at basketball games or whatever. I'm just like
Yeah.
randomly, and I think I'm still a fan of like the normal double binos.
Mhm.
It's a little uncomfortable, just keep like holding your eye closed, or single
Yeah.
ones. It's really just for spotting. But
Mhm.
yeah, but I mean, this is like a really cool one. So yeah, I wouldn't mind having one of these on myself.
Cool.
Yeah.
So next release, we got the Wingback Mechanical Pen in steel.
Yeah.
$162. Wingback, eh?
If I'm not mistaken, Wingback is famous for their pencils. Isn't that right? Actually,
I know Wingback for their leather goods. So they had some nice designed, like kind of premium card holders. I believe they were on
mm,
Kickstarter, but they did have writing instruments here.
yeah. So it's made in the UK. It's a little bit pricey, but it's got its own very specific design language. Like, it's a little bit more industrial,
Yes.
especially with the snurling on the back. So I've never actually used the Wingback pens or pencils, but
Mm,
I found it. I found the design really, really cool. It is a tad on the expensive side, but
yeah,
yeah,
but it does have that super technical
it
industrial vibe with the
it
knurling
reminds
and
me of like super industrial F701. It's got that
oh
kind of
yeah,
it's got
yeah,
that kind of look, but way chunkier and kind of like much more machined and finished.
yeah. And it's a twist pen instead of click. So
Mm. And it
it
uses a standard Fisher Space Pen. Looks like,
hmm um
and
yeah,
stainless steel. Interestingly,
yeah.
instead of
This
aluminum.
I mean, sometimes you want the heft.
Mm.
Um and it's a larger, it's like a wider, chonkier boy. So you're
Yeah.
not gripping something heavy with like too close of too tight of a grip. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like your fingers aren't that close together. So I guess that combined with the heft can make it a little bit more comfortable for longer writing sessions. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on twist mechanism
A
pens
twist.
for EDC? Yeah.
Ooh, I've kind of been against twists, like for flashlights and stuff, for the longest time,
Hmm.
just because it's just a bit more cumbersome
Yeah.
movement rather than just like straight clicking. I wouldn't mind it, especially with knurling like that. And if it's a bit of a, if it's like 1 centimeter wide, it would be
Hmm.
a bit easier to twist like one handed. So I
Oh,
think I wouldn't mind
interesting.
it so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I to me this reads more like a desk instrument or like in a bag or something for longer sessions. This
Mm,
I would probably not recommend this as like this is the
an EDC.
go-to EDC in your pocket for everyone, just because of the
Yeah.
price, the materials, and the design. But like if you got it like that and you're at your desk mostly, and this appeals to you, then Wingback, I've used their stuff before and it's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that it doesn't have a clip, and
Yeah, that too.
yeah,
No clip.
it's not a it's not conducive strictly for an EDC pen.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it would be
Yeah,
like something really useful on the desk, or something really cool on the desk.
yeah. All right.
Yeah. And it's
So
just like,
next.
I one of the reasons I picked this also is just to have some variety out there in the mechanical or like the machine pen space, because
Mm-hmm.
we just want to explore other brands as well and see what everybody else is doing, rather than just like recommending the same old F701, same old Fisher Space Pen.
Yeah.
We love tactile, but just giving people options out there also.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next we have Dispatch's Ridge Pack.
Mm.
This is an EG collab, I guess. Engineered Garments Special Edition Dyed Dyneema. Why'd you pick this one, Mikey?
Because why would you have garments if they're not engineered, right?
Yeah.
No, so it's always nice to see. I always come back to Dispatch to take a look at their new stuff, because they're always doing some funky stuff with material science and
Mm-hmm.
exploring different designs. So this looks like your standard book bag, right? It's got the two-tone front zip, wide opening, and then like this
Yeah.
two-tone like the second half of it is either leather or ballistic nylon or whatever. But a couple of interesting things here. I believe it is a new design. The straps are also detachable. It opens in a interesting way. Like it opens
Yeah.
like from the inside out, it folds down. So that's a pretty interesting thing. And I haven't seen dyed Dyneema before. This is my first time seeing
Yeah, I don't think
dyed
I've seen
Dyneema.
much use of dyed Dyneema. Yeah, usually I see like all black or all white.
Yeah, black, white, or gray are usually the standard stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, so a bunch of interesting things going on here. If you've been waiting to explore a different look, Dispatch is also usually like kind of cutting edge, almost avant-garde with some of their backpack designs.
Yeah, like I've been following Dispatch, dude, like I don't know,
Forever.
it feels like 10 years at least. Like they were one of the first SF like technical fashion, but then also like tactical. They kind of had all of that going for them. They're like big into modularity and also big into like experimental stuff. I think this like use of Dyneema and stuff would put it in their R
Yeah,
and
because it's
D,
in
like
their
their research and
the R
development
and D.
line.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and also they're made in the USA. And yeah, just really cool. Like my EDC backpack for a long time was like their first day pack. I really liked it, and then it's just cool to see them exploring different material options, like you said, in new silhouettes. This one's a little bit more minimalistic, and I think that lends well to materials like Dyneema, just because it's so lightweight anyway. So you're kind of like leaning into that sort of minimalism, but it does have just like useful hardware here, so you could like just straps. It's got
What's the
top
was
access
it
pocket here.
was it Dispatch who made the ghostly pack that you have that kind of
No,
looks like this? Somebody
no,
else.
yeah, it's somebody else. That's a one man operation.
Right.
But I did try the other Dyneema bags, and I have several Dyneema like slings from Dispatch. So
It's
I'm not
probably
super huge.
their most familiar line to most like EDC people. Like their R&D slings are they have a
Really,
like
I think
a
this
lot.
is their most iconic thing.
Yeah.
The
Well,
day pack.
that was their first, so
Yeah, yeah,
definitely, yeah.
yeah.
But I see their slings a lot more in the wild, especially since they do them in X-Pack and Dynamo. So
Oh, right, right.
yeah,
But yeah, Dispatch knows how to make a good bag. This is
Mm.
expensive, by the way.
Yeah,
No,
paying the
no
Dynamo
lying about it.
price.
Yeah, it's expensive because it's Dyneema and it is like a fashion / streetwear special edition.
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna say that like this is like an insane value. Just so we're all clear on that. But if you like engineered garments, if you like Dispatch, if you like having unique looking Dyneema, with this aesthetic and function and performance to match, here you go. Just something interesting.
Yeah, green one looks sick too.
Yeah, before you guys like, why are you recommending a $350 backpack? We're just
And
showing you what came out.
yeah, and
Yeah.
again, this is also like a gateway to get into to look at more Dispatch stuff. It's not all $350
Yeah,
backpacks.
you can see
Yeah,
this and then just go, let's go to the home and then sort by price low to high. And like that's how I shop. So
exactly.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So let's take it home with the last new release for
Mhm.
this week. This is the CIVIVI X1.
Yeah. Somebody in our Discord actually just came home with the wood one in the lower right, the Damascus
Okay.
plus wood.
How much is this one?
Before
95. Okay.
before I talk about this knife, what are your thoughts on wood handles? Do you have any experience with wood handles?
Like real wood handles?
Yeah, like this one. Like if you had
You mean this
yeah,
one?
like this one. Yeah.
I don't think I've used like seriously used an EDC a knife with wood handles. Doesn't really speak to me, to be honest.
Yeah. It's very unusual to me.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, would I pick a wood handle anything, or maybe like in a traditional knife?
Yeah, I think the only wood handled stuff I had was like my actual Filipino handmade balisong. That was made with wood.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I had I think of a Victorinox, but it was kind of like the Wenger style one.
Mhm.
I don't even know if that's real wood, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the X1 is one of the latest from CVV. It's their new sub 100, really standard Nitro V
Yeah. Well,
steel
Nitro V
flipper.
steel is pretty good. And it's
Yeah.
got, G10 with like these high vis kind of
Yeah.
liners here.
The liners are different color. And it's this kind of aggressive sheep's foot. Is this sheep's foot or Warncliffe?
Mm,
Warncliffe. That's
I think,
Warncliffe.
yeah, because it doesn't curve down. You
Yeah.
can kind of
Yeah.
point with this. I believe this is a Brian Brown design.
Yeah.
And I like this fuller design.
Yeah, I really, really like edge to edge fullers. I really have a
Yeah.
thing for that.
Oh, they just call it aesthetic fuller design. I mean, I agree. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I believe it's just a rear flipper, right? So you can use the fuller, but yeah, there's a rear flipper.
They're
tab
calling it
there.
reverse tanto as well. Is it?
Mm,
It's kind of like blurring the lines between
dude,
Warncliffe, reverse tanto.
I feel like anything that is not just a very obvious drop point, you can just say, "Oh, it's a modified Tonto," and then you're like, "Yeah, it
or like
is."
it's a modified drop point. It's like that can be literally anything.
Yeah. So I haven't had a chance to try. Did they send us one? I don't think I've had a chance to try one of these yet.
Mhm.
But it does look pretty promising. Like you get so much blade for this handle too.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
curious about like the balance of it and the
Mhm.
ratios of it. But it's hard to argue with like Nitro V plus sub 3 inch, and it's got an interesting
Yeah.
blade shape, and G10 plus standard steel plus affordable plus sub 3 inch is kind of like you can't go wrong really in that
Yeah.
combination of features. It's really hard to go wrong, and it's like it's nice that it's also a flipper as well. Like CIVIVI's flippers are
Yeah.
pretty fun.
I think if I had any reservations personally, it just might be that it's liner lock.
Yeah.
Yeah, not super into that, but like I appreciate the design language and the steel. Nitro
What's
V
your
is pretty
favorite
nice.
lock lately that you've tried? What have you been having fun with locks? Fun, quote unquote fun.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm liking stuff like compression, top liner,
Mhm.
button, just things where I just press down on it, but like I don't have to put my thumb in the way of the blade.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or rather, I don't have to take my thumb away from the blades. I can just press down where it is, and then it can lock. Even versus like crossbar locks, where I have to still like pull my fingers back and like change the position of that. It just feels more, I don't know, convenient to press one thing once and not have to move my hands.
I am enjoying the top liner lock as well from like the PSYOP and stuff. Like the Hedgehog and the PSYOP are both top liner locks. Like, and it's been really fun to, like you said, not have your thumb in the path of the blade, especially some of the really larger knives lately. Yeah. Kind of scary having your finger in the blade. Yeah. Those are the new releases for this week. Let us know what you think.
All right, so we're going to jump into reader questions now. So this is a discussion from last week on our subreddit, which is r/everydaycarry. Someone says, is it really worth $75 to $150 for an EDC pen? I just can't decide if it's worth the price for something that is easy to lose. That is a good consideration. For those of you that have one, what kind is it, and is it worth it?
Well, talking about a Wingback $185 pen.
Yeah.
That's the value argument is always kind of like tough to answer because it's gonna the value for one object is different for one person to another, and some people get around it by having like knives or other gear that you can lose that you carry with you on the go, and you have nicer ones you keep at home or under in a display case and stuff like that. So worth it? Would you say it was worth it? I think it's worth it when you're at the point already of you have enough experience in the hobby or in pens in general, and you found something that you like, and then you just want just like the little step up from there. It's worth like having a bit more premium version of something that already works for you. So for example, if you like the Schmidt P900 just randomly and you're like, I want something, the best possible version of this. I don't want to think about it anymore. I just have a really nice version of it, and done. 150 for a pen. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it depends who is asking this question, because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, off the top of my head, for most people, probably not worth it,
No.
because some people like don't even carry a pen at all, or like don't use pens ever. Like
Yeah.
they don't interface with ink and paper like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to tell you go spend $150 for a pen if it's not something you need. The thing is, it's difficult is because I feel like for EDC pens, the price tiers are like you have the sub like $30 max for one, and then you jump into the 80 to like 150 to
Yeah.
$200 pens. I
There's
don't
no
know
in
why it's
between.
like that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's like no real in between, and it might be because pens are simple enough that and you're kind of constrained to the materials you would use on an EDC pen. So it's
Mm.
either like steel or aluminum or plastic or whatever on the lower end. And then
Mm.
on the higher end, it's like titanium and then exotics. And they have to be like machined, which is like its own, added cost of that type of complexity and difficulty of manufacture. So that's why
I
the ocean, it's like an ocean gap between
I think I
price
know what's in
points.
between the lower end stuff and the higher end stuff. I think it's the Japanese stationery industry, because you know how like Zebra and all of these
Uni, yeah,
uni,
Uniball.
yeah, they
Yeah.
have all of these like super high tech mechanical pencils and pens with like erasable ink and all of that. There's that whole batch in between the super affordable like big level stuff and starting at $80 with the aluminum stuff.
Yeah, but those are I wouldn't consider those to be traditionally EDC positioned, if that makes sense.
True, they're stationary
Yeah.
positioned. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then so to that point, that's some of the stuff you're recommending is like low end when it comes to the like total spectrum of price in Japanese stationery world,
Yeah,
right?
true, true. Yeah.
So like I was just on this morning on jet pens, just like looking at stuff. And if you guys
Oh
don't
no.
know jet pens, um, so yeah, jet pens. This is like you can have $240 fountain pens and stuff with like rose gold,
Mhm.
but then I'm sure this is like fairly cheap. Okay, no. I thought this is like a piece of plastic pen. It's like $112. But anyway,
Okay.
we're kind of getting besides the point.
Yeah. There's a lot
Yeah.
out
So
there. For most people, it might not be worth it, but if you're already deep in the hobby and you're looking for something a bit more elevated, or just trying to optimize something in a better, hardier material, or you're looking for something a bit more exotic, then maybe it could be worth it to you.
yeah. So I think if we just look at the comments, this is kind of the same kind of advice I would give. It's like if you
Exactly.
don't use a pen at all, just get like Zebra or
Zebra.
Fisher Space Pen or something like that, right? Where they're under $30, just to see if you use a pen or need a pen at all. And then
Mhm.
if you know that you use a pen often, I would say like if you use one every day or for like several hours because you're a student or it's like for work or something, then you
Mm,
can invest. But if you like
mm.
you're in the point of your journey where you're like, should I carry a pen? I see other people carry pens, but for some reason they're all $80 titanium machine pens. Like that's not
Yeah.
like the reality for most
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
EDCers, I think, right? So you can kind of like change that expectation, start something small. You can find great recommendations under the $75 to $150 price point, and
Mhm,
the Zebra all metal one that's specifically the F701 that they're mentioning, and then Space Pen that's like Fisher Bullet Space Pen
mhm.
is like the more complete answer to these top two. Um,
There's a good comment
and
also by F4T Fate at the bottom. Like he loves, that's the argument for the other way, right? Like if you love well-made things, if it's
mm,
something you're going to be regularly using and enjoying, just like a watch, right? It most watches do the exact same thing, but if it's something you like to wear, reminds you of something is well made and you like looking at on your wrist, that's got its own value in itself, right? So
yeah, but then Fate keeps it real, and they're just saying like I can't even think per month how many times I use my
yeah,
writing, so it's a
yeah,
cheap pen for me,
yeah,
right? And that's like that is the reasonable based take, I think. It's
sure,
like, yes, you can appreciate all the stuff, but don't think that you need to buy it just
yeah.
because you
That's
enjoy
the
it
real,
if it's
yeah,
not realistic to your actual everyday use case.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a great question. We can move on to some other questions that we got from Instagram. So If you want to join and ask questions like this, you could do that on Reddit. But if Instagram is more your thing and you just want to wait for us to answer, then here's what our inbox is looking like. So one question we got is from Rude Krieg, asks on Instagram, a slim penlight recommendation in titanium. I'm going to defer to Mikey here.
This is a good question because a lot of the slim pen lights type lights are mostly in aluminum. But I will give a shout out to 4.7s. They make the Preon series.
Okay, because that was my answer, but I'm like, I don't think the Preon 2 has been made in several
they have
decades. Okay, no.
Yeah, so they have the Preon 1, and then they also have the Beta QR series. So it's both of them are both AAA. One of them is twisty, one of the Preon is the clicky type. And that's probably the easiest and the best way to get a titanium one. There is a lot for slim penlight. Nightcore makes one, Phoenix makes one, Coast, Streamlight. You have Rovivon. Rovivon actually probably has a titanium one also. That's a titanium penlight. But there's a lot more options on the aluminum side of things. Coast makes even like a silver one. That's a penlight style. But as far as titanium, I can only think of that's easy to get is the Preon, because otherwise.
Are you talking about maybe we need to define what a penlight is?
Yeah.
When I think of penlight, I'm thinking like it's the form factor of a writing utensil pen, so it's longer.
Like an inspection light.
Yeah. So let me pull up the Preon P2 because from my understanding.
Yeah, the P2 hasn't been made in a while.
This is the Preon P2 Mark III, but this is like aluminum. This is like hard anodized.
Yeah.
So
pretty sure that the 4.7 stuff titanium only is for the Preon 1 and for the Beta QR.
Yeah.
So you can have like titanium alike aluminum, but it's not a popular form factor for inspection lights like the pen light style, right?
Yeah.
Most people are looking for something either more compact or you're jumping up to 16350 or 18650 batteries.
Let me pivot the question then, Mikey. So in light of us not finding off the top of our heads a titanium pen light other than the Preon P2 Mark 0, I guess, from like 2013 that I had. That was high polished titanium, by the way, scratched immediately as soon as you untwisted it. So imagine I'm hearing this news and I just like fell to my knees in the Walmart and there's like no titanium pen light. Pill me on why I would prefer actually aluminum instead of titanium in a flashlight. What are the benefits?
Number one is price. You can get very, very good pen lights from Coast and Streamlight for under $15, under $10 even for Coast. Why you would also want it in aluminum? It's actually better at heat dissipation than titanium.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So aluminum is only second to copper, I believe, for heat dissipation. Yeah, so aluminum in a lot of ways is actually one of the best materials you can make. Like even Joe Caswell was talking about this, that aluminum, if you think about it, is one of the best materials at what it needs to do, which is a robust, easy to work with steel, good heat resistance, and is lightweight. So
not steel, but metal. But I get what you're saying.
Sorry. But there's a lot to go for aluminum, mainly the price, and you have a lot more options if you're going for aluminum for a pen light, for a pen light for an inspection light specifically.
But if you wanted to match the rest of your titanium gear, then
you're looking at
this does kind of look like titanium, but
Preon P1 is probably the closest you're gonna get, unless you want to take your chances with like a Kluma D0. But good luck getting one of those.
All right. So we can hop into a different question. Thank you to Rid Creek for the question. I hope
I will look for one. Let's see if I can find a titanium one.
Okay. So going back to the conversation of like, are things worth it? Scoreben12 asks, is premium steel worth it in an EDC knife?
Mm. That's I have a more diplomatic answer lately for this. It's
Mm-hmm.
how often do you use your knife to the point where A, you might encounter corrosion, and B, to the point of dulling it where you need to worry about sharpening it. I think
Mm-hmm.
those are the two more considerable
Yeah.
things to think about rather than
Yeah.
something being worth it just for the sake of its premium or its like high end super steel type
Right.
territory.
So you're kind of saying like don't look at steel um or like don't try to shop for steel just based on the framework of I want to have
The
the
best,
highest
quote
value, yeah,
unquote.
the
Yeah.
best, yeah, because it will depend on your situation, your habits and whatever. And I understand that everyone wants to make an informed decision and they don't want to regret the decision they make. It's why they watch our podcast, like,
Mhm.
stuff like that, right? But also it's just like it's knives have been working for people like forever. You don't need like magna cut for everything.
Yeah.
But it does, if you are like an enthusiast and you use your things a lot, having nicer steel does help with just like not needing to maintain or clean as much or just getting slightly better performance. But like, yeah, you'll get the job done. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm sure the people listening are on the enthusiast side anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because we love this stuff. So I think for us, then we're gonna say, yeah, it's worth it. Because yeah, like I prefer knives that are at least like in the premium. But I understand that like budget stuff like 14C28 and Nitro V. I think those are good.
Yeah. Even ARPM9 for CGRP, the 15 CR MOV stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the even VG10 and like S30V are still really really good steels.
I
And
still
also,
think of S30V as and VG10 as like
yeah, and
premium.
the main advantage between those two are they're both really really easy to sharpen as well. They're sort of like
Mm-hmm.
they're like nothing already for sharpening compared to something super hardened like I don't know ZDP 189 or even 3V. Like
Mm-hmm.
the tougher steels are going to be much harder to sharpen. So if it's something like you're going to be using for heavy use, that's a consideration. Like, yeah.
Yeah. What else might go into this is not even the same question anymore. I'm thinking like what else might go into what makes a knife worth it other than just the steel? Because if you think about this
Damascus?
question, like no, I mean like if you think about this question sort of in a vacuum or like not in the best faith, like you can imagine like a horribly designed knife like that's just like not comfortable and like the blade length is like too big or too small. It's just like weird, but like it has a premium steel. It's like, is that going to be a factor? No, I think there's like so many other things that go into the
True,
knife
true.
that kind of makes it worth it. But yeah, I guess this is sort of in the context of if you're deciding between two identical knives, but one has one steel and one has the other, is it worth it to pay more? Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right? And then I think like it kind of depends on the delta of the steel, right? So if you have one that's like Magna Cut for X amount of dollars, and then you have one that's what's a bad steel? What's even a bad steel? Like OS 8 or something?
Yeah, OS 8.
Let's just say OS 8.
Yeah.
Then it's and there's like no in between. Then it's like
It does
this
take
makes
a
it a
bit of
difficult question.
it does take a bit more research, but you are navigating the three main tenets of knife steels, right? Which is the corrosion resistance, edge retention, and the toughness. So if you
Yeah,
have a particular use, like we were talking about the water series earlier, if you're going to be using it near the water or it's going to get damp from use for cooking or whatever, then you might lean towards something that's more corrosion resistant. If you want something for the outdoors, you're going to using it to chop wood and stuff. You want something tougher like 3V or
yeah,
tougher C like that. If you're looking for something every day, literally can be anything, and anywhere from OS 8 all the way to Rex 121 or whatever. But
yeah,
the difference there is what is going to be your main use for it. And this is also why Magna Cut has become so popular, right? Because it's top tier across the board for those three qualifiers. It's second
hmm
best in corrosion resistant. I think it's fifth best in toughness, probably third best, I think, in edge retention. That's why it's getting so many accolades, right? They figured out um Lauren Thomas figured out how to get the best of all worlds with that steel. That's why it's the most
yeah.
popular thing right now. So it's what makes it worth it to you is how you're going to be using it and across those three qualifiers of how you would be using it. And then you can decide is it going to be worth it to have a knife that's truly rust resistant? If you're going to be in the water all the time, then yes, I'd say
Yeah.
it would be worth it. Yeah.
So I suspect that any kind of question that's like, is X worth it for EDC? We're gonna have the same answer, and it's gonna depend on who's asking and what their circumstances are. But like,
Yeah.
I think if Scorben 12 has no other knives and is looking for their first knife, I will say no. Don't get the premium steel knife and get multiple different knives with budget steels so that you understand what you appreciate and use in the knife. And then when you have that and you're solid on that, then you can look into a premium steel. And again, you're going to be chasing like that last few percentage points. And then if you're at a point now where you don't have as much experience with all that other stuff, you might not even appreciate the benefits of a knife that doesn't corrode and like keeps its edge and all that stuff because you haven't used knives that maybe don't perform that well. And maybe if you get knives that don't perform that well in those aspects, you realize like, this is actually enough for me though. So there's like a lot of trial and error there. And I know it's not really like the hot take answer.
I do have a nice counterpoint story.
Yeah, that's my stance.
I have a nice counterpoint story here to opting for the premium steel, which I did before. One of my first EDC knives is a Spyderco Dragonfly 2. And that came with ZDP 189 steel.
Yes.
Which is extremely hard. I believe how Spyderco did it was HRC 63, which is really like that's above and beyond what you need for an everyday knife. And the problem is I dulled it accidentally, and this was 10 years ago. Nobody wanted to touch it with a sharpener because it's like that's gonna take me all week, bro. Just keep it in a drawer for now. Yeah. I only was able to have it sharpened like a couple of years ago, and people already, when diamond rods were already more popular for sharpening systems, that's when somebody was able to take on the knife and is like, okay, I can fix this now. But for the longest time, like this dulled and nobody wanted to touch it because it was just too tough to sharpen. Yeah, so that's one counterpoint story there.
So you're saying don't opt for the premium steel if like you don't want to maintain it?
No, I mean, just think about it in terms of what you're getting for the premium. Like I said, it's always between those three tenets.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I opted for the super extreme edge retention, but then when it dulled, when it lost that edge retention, I was screwed because
so you're saying like, even though there are premium steels, the premium steels will be premium for different reasons, and you have to make sure you understand the reason you're investing in the premium steel. Yeah. Okay, I think that's a lot of good advice to end that question on. So thank you, Scorben12. I hope that's helpful. So B.Joe asks, do EDCers actually use the S word they carry, or is it just a form of fashion accessory now?
Well, yes. Why can't it be both, right? I mean,
yes. And it's funny that you say just a form of fashion accessory now, bro. Where have you been? Like this has been happening like since I started. Actually, I started EDCing because I was looking for a fashion accessory.
True.
That's the truth. I'm just gonna keep it real.
There is an element of this question maybe in bad faith that you're just kind of like mocking people for wanting something that looks nice and not actually using. Yeah. But this question, if you think about it, boils down to kind of like there's a self-expression component to this question, right? What if I want to express myself or have my gear be representative of the things I like or the things I enjoy or the things I like to look at, right? Because like watches would fall into this category, a nice pair of shoes would fall into this category, having a nice hat or like a proper tie or like a nice fitting suit would all fall into this. It's just like all of those are forms of fashion accessories, right?
Yeah. But and then, of course they all have their innate utility too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
so I do get the sentiment though. Like a lot of stuff out there is people, taking nice photos of all of their untouched stuff, and I do get the sentiment and the feeling that people are, just showing off on Instagram or whatever. But there is, if you look a little bit past that, there is the element of self-expression and self-enjoyment. People are in this hobby because they're like surrounding themselves with stuff that they enjoy or like looking at. I think that's the more fair way to look at this, because then you can attribute value to like, I like old zirconium stuff. I don't care how expensive it is. It looks nice to me. It looks like inky black, whatever. you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's how I would approach this question more. And the answer at the end of it is going to be both for me. I think you can have an element of utility while also have it be something that you enjoy looking at or using, or you know,
Yeah.
getting the value out of a more premium thing, I guess.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm trying to think of how I can respond to this, but I'm also just anticipating the comment section because our
There's no
editor's going to
way.
clip our editor's going to clip this out with no context, and it's just going to be like the most bombastic take, and then I'm just going to get roasted in the comments for what I'm trying to say. But I'm just kind of sad that the question has to be framed in this way, where it's like
Mm,
you're judging the validity of an EDC or maybe even the person that owns said EDC, and shared it with other people, presumably on the internet with us, right?
mm,
About like, one, like, does it need to be used to be an EDC? And then two, is the mutual, like, the mutually exclusive opposite of that a form of fashion accessory? Like, yeah, and I agree with your answers. Like, it can be both, and why can't it be both? I think that's the bigger question. Why does this question even exist? Um,
yeah.
yeah, because I think you can use it, and that's valid, and people are gonna be into EDC for that. But then, does that preclude you from using your gear if somebody else is not using their gear?
Mm,
Right? Like, how does that affect you? I don't know.
yeah.
I'm in the camp of just like let people enjoy things. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's this is always going to be tricky. This is I feel like this question's always going to come up because there is I feel like especially in modern EDC, it's become much more prevalent now with the rise of Instagram and all of that, and
yes,
large EDC communities where it's kind of like mandatory to share nice stuff, and you get the whole FOMO thing, and
right,
it perpetuates the cycle of having nice stuff always to show off to other people and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up in that as part of the hobby. I think we've been in it long enough to be like um not care about that too much while still wanting useful stuff that also looks good. I think we've found that balance. But yeah,
right. So
it is
I
kind of tricky.
started,
Yeah.
we started EDCing like what, over 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
Or at least like everybody has been EDCing, like, for however long they've been using pockets and like leaving the house and whatever. But like,
Mhm.
we thought of it in the term everyday carry like over 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
um and back then, when I was seeing EDC pocket dumps like being submitted to me in the original website, I was just stoked that people were into it, right? And I
Mhm.
think what you're saying with like the prevalence of social media now, this is like totally a different conversation now, but um, there is some utility in having a fashion aspect to your EDC, in the sense that if you are trying to join a community and that community is online and you're not meeting in person, and you're sort of your identity on in that community is like this profile of what you have, and it's mainly like the content of your pocket dumps, you might want to like create that kind of identity through the stuff you carry, to be known and expressed,
Yeah.
and then maybe resonate with people and find people, right? um,
And
so
that
there's some
also
of that aspect too, just for the people that are like super online.
that also carries over into other stuff like the way you dress, the music you listen to, the art you like, the movies you like. That's that preference, that expression, and that uniqueness about what you like and what you have is what
Yes.
represents you on, especially online when you're not like being your true self, quote unquote. Like
Yeah.
these your preferences are going to be what represents you when you are part of these communities online, especially hobbies where you own something, right? So
Yeah.
there's always going to be that balance of like you're gonna be that guy with like the all black technical stuff, or like that guy with the all titanium stuff, or that guy with the all orange stuff. So
Hmm.
there's different factors at play here, and like Bernard was saying, um, it's interesting now that it's become like it's become more accessible to people to express themselves with the sheer vast markets now for each individual type of EDC, like knives, flashlights, bags, everything. You can really form a whole EDC tailored to exactly what you like. And yeah. Anyway,
And
this guy.
very quickly, I'm just putting this meme up just so that people can kind of see. I feel like this is in the vein of that question. Where the truth may be that like people aren't really actually using their aerial reconnaissance in their EDC, but it's to telegraph a certain thing about them to find other people and make them think about them in that way. But we don't have to get into that. I just think this is a funny like way to express that.
Offense, defense.
If you you know my speed. But anyway, so. Well, let's move on from that question. I think the answer is yes. In this either or question, the answer is yes. There are plenty of people that use the stuff that they carry. There are plenty of people that don't. There are plenty of people that care about what it looks like as far as like fashion for them. And then there are plenty of people who don't. Is it all valid? I think so. I think like you can just coexist and like be chill about it. It's fine. And I think we just have to remember the context that like all of this is on the internet and it's not real life, so it's not going to be exactly what it looks like on the screen. Cool. I think we've talked a lot about that. Let's actually get into some of these EDC photos that maybe are used or not. So let's jump into those.
Let's take a look at in the latest in fashion accessories now.
So this is a submission from EPTCH EDC on Instagram, and they submitted this directly to our website on this new form. So if you go to everydaycarry.com and then click submit your EDC on the top of the website, that's where you'll be able to share to have your photos featured in these. So this one is my daily carry for a work from home border crossing ops analyst in West Texas. And omitted from this picture is their iPhone 13 mini. So what do we have here?
Immediately jumping out to me is this tiny knife. I need to know what this tiny knife is.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, but it has like an interesting thumb disc. It's very small. The pocket clip looks like a spoon.
This reminds me of, remember the old Boker subcom?
Yeah, dude.
That reminds me exactly of that one. Man, where has the subcom?
What about the Boker keycom? Is the keycom? No, that's not. I think subcom looks more like what you're talking about.
Yeah. This looks like it would have been from that era, especially that SOG knife as well.
Wait, this looks suspiciously like no, it's not. It's not. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I think this is the SOG Stout FLK, which is like my favorite SOG knife.
Is it?
SOG Stout FLK. Let me pull this
aluminum frame lock, drop point, flipper.
So here's the FLK blackout. Let me put this on the screen real quick. But yeah, I really like this knife. If this is what it is, and I think it is.
No, the SOG logo is different.
Oh, really? Oh.
And the notch on the frame lock also is different. And the pivot screw is different. Oh, no, the pivot screw is the same.
Really?
It could be, though.
No, I think it is, right?
Look, because the SOG here is an embossed one versus the flipper tab has jimping on it.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well.
Yeah. Anyway,
still, compact frame lock. And then this is the Pelican hard wallet thing. It's like kind of waterproof and it has like internal webbing, like a net, so you can hold like small items in there. Then you've got like your AirPods in the case. 511.
511 carabiner. Interesting. I haven't seen one of those in a while. And speaking of affordable pens, that you can EDC.
Yeah, this is the Japanese.
Japanese stationery is talking about.
On this colorful hank with some
Dia de los Muertes.
Yeah, that's some cool imagery there. So what do you think about these two knives in the EDC?
Well,
What do you think?
2 is better than 1, and I'm really curious about what this smaller one is, because that's a nice way to pair up 2 knives. Like you have a larger, yeah, you have a larger one and you have a smaller one. Talking
Hmm.
about that just now, and yeah, just find a way, find these quirky little knives. Really, yeah, I really do want to know what this knife is.
Yeah. So future submissions, people will be forced to tell us what's actually in their EDC,
Yeah.
just to help us. I have a question. What do you think about carrying your wireless earbuds on a keychain and with a case? I don't use either of those, to be honest.
I use a slip. I have a merino wool slip, just like a sleeve for the AirPods.
Mm-hmm.
But I have used cases in the past, and I think just from just like a protection perspective, it's useful because the Apple cases kind of like get scratched up really easily. Just
Yeah.
having that extra layer of protection, and
But
it,
like, who cares? I
I
don't
know.
know. They
True.
are expensive though, and I get it. But like, I feel like
Yeah.
these are so like durable. I've dropped this so many times where I'm more worried about like my AirPod like flies out, and it's like I'm never gonna find it.
I don't
Um,
think I would attach it to anything with a carabiner though, because that's just asking for somebody to yoink it. I think
mm,
that's the one
yeah.
thing I would put it in a case. I'm the type to put stuff in a case, but I will not like display it on a outside of my bag, free
Okay.
flowing in the wind with a carabiner. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just asking for it to just get yanked.
Yeah. I also don't think that I'm popping earbuds in and out that quickly that I needed like super quick access and constantly exposed that it needs a case. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just a me issue. But overall, like pretty cool, durable stuff with the
Yeah.
exception of this plastic pen. But maybe they're just somebody who that doesn't use a pen that much and they're just testing out like,
Yeah, the AirPods are
I
the and the AirPods are the most expensive thing in this carry too. So
yeah, assuming they're AirPods, but
yeah.
um cool. So thank you to EPTX EDC on Instagram for that submission.
Yeah, let us know what this knife is. I need to know. I really need to know.
Yeah.
I love these tiny knives.
And then for next, we have this brass and leather mighty
Ooh.
EDC from Ollie. So they have an item list here. I'm probably gonna butcher all
Oh
of
no, it's
these.
another German name. Oh no.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
So let me let me double check. I think this is the Messer Depot SK09, and then the Victorinox Compact with ASZ Knives Maker Scales and Bead, Mighty EDC T-Rex. Okay, so that's probably their logo, this little T-Rex guy.
Mhm.
They got the Raylight Pineapple Mini in brass.
Oh, Raylight Pineapple Mini is a penlight style that comes in titanium, which is really, really good.
But
That's
does
the
it
one.
come in a 2 cell? Is it
No.
long? No, well
No.
then that's not a pen light.
Okay, well,
That's what
okay.
I'm saying.
The hunt continues.
Unless all your pens are the size of a Fisher Space Pen bullet in brass, then maybe.
Okay, fair, fair, fair. But yeah,
Yeah, and
Raylight
then this is
Pineapple.
in a DP leather and steel pouch, apparently.
Yeah.
So, it says urban lifestyle EDC made for completing daily tasks. Smiley face. Well,
Hmm.
I would be smiling too if I were completing my daily tasks with the set like this.
I'm really becoming a fan of these 2-layer Victorinox knives. The
Mm,
compact. This is a
mm-hmm.
2-layer, isn't it? Like it seems like it's thin enough to be a 2-layer one.
But then this makes what is this back here? Yeah. Let me double check what.
How have you enjoyed carrying like a full brass carry that you now that you've built one as well?
Uh,
Not your favorite?
like if I'm only carrying brass gear and no tech or anything like that, or anything less durable than brass, sure. But like all the brass stuff together, I liked that. Like I'm never worried about the durability of it or them scratching. Like it's just gonna look
Mm,
sick the more it gets beat up anyway.
yeah.
But
Like this
because
is a good
I'm
example also.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like this is great, but because I have like my work iPhone and like just like random stuff in there that there's like plastic or glass or something, it's like then I'm like this might be overkill. But that's just because I think I'm
I
to online
really,
and need tech.
I, I really do respect the guys who are like into copper and brass and leather, because that's like
Hmm.
the polar opposite of the stuff I like titanium, kydex, synthetic
Mm.
materials, more
Yeah.
techie like X-Pac Dyneema stuff, right? Like that's like night and day, like the different kind of EDC type. So I really like
Yeah.
seeing other people build it. I don't think it's really for me, both in terms of like appearance and just like the qualities of it. I feel like I'd find it heavy and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but I love seeing it on others, and this is a good example. Nice carrying a
Yeah.
nice fixie as well, a customized Victorinox, really nice. Really like pineapple, as I was saying, one of the
Hmm.
goats of AAA flashlights, and yeah, nice Zippo as well.
Yeah. Isn't this great? Like our ability to admire this EDC made of brass without having to experience the weight of it in our pockets or the smell of it on our hands.
Yeah,
So thank you so much, Ollie, for submitting this EDC for our enjoyment here.
yeah,
Um, we will move on to one from Aram. And let's open this one. Yes. So this is similar style, but
yeah.
it does mix a little bit of the tech that we're talking about. I think your AirPods case, maybe you just get a leather case for that then, and just complete the look,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, I think this person is from our Discord as well, because that knife looks familiar. I believe that's the Boker, one of the Boker traditional slip joints with micarta and wood and
I'm gonna
Damascus.
pronounce it not correctly. Solingen leopard damask pocket knife from
Yes,
Boker.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then we've got an Oak City Leather Supply bifold wallet, a NATO watch strap from Oak City Leather Supply on their Timex chronograph. Um, did they edit this photo, or is everything really this patinaed? uh, I think it just is.
Or it
Okay.
could be the
Uh,
shadow, because like the AirPods look like they're cast in
no, but
shadow.
mine looks like my AirPods case looks like this. Just from
Okay.
all the dirt and like rubbing up against stuff, especially like black bags and whatever. Like it takes on dye. Um, yeah, and then there's
Classic
Travelers
fish
Company
hook.
brass pencil. Yes, there's a. I don't. I think this is just a generic fish hook
Yeah.
hardware for their
It looks
keys.
like the Scout Leather Company. They're the ones who made that kind of style, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I think theirs is
The
has a little
generic.
bit higher design value. Or yeah, yeah, the Scout leather one.
Yeah, yeah.
And then some Craft and Lore uh tag here on the Hank. Just a very classy, simple,
Classy. Yeah.
traditional. Yeah, like the only thing that would seem out of place is just the AirPods, but
Mhm.
you know they're
I mean,
using
you
them.
gotta
It's
have
fine.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm using them right now, so I get it. Yeah, this is cool.
Craft and Lore has always also been a really easy recommendation. They make a lot of nice wallets and valet trays and other leather stuff. You can, if you're
Hmm.
looking for nice leather recommendations, in addition to the Oak City stuff that's been in recommend that's in this carry, yeah,
Yeah,
take a look at the Craft and Lore stuff as well. Pretty cool. I also haven't seen a pencil like this in a while.
yeah. This thing
Like
is like,
the brass
yeah, it's been
pencil.
around. Yeah.
Isn't this like
Um,
a bullet pencil? That's what it's called, right? The bullet pencil.
I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it is a pencil.
I remember this pencil style being popular like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
I saw a
So
lot of them, especially
yeah,
in the brass carry loadouts.
yeah, because
Oh,
I think
somebody was always having.
it was before like all these new makers of machined writing instruments came out and
Mhm.
could process brass. Right, it's like one
Yeah,
of
yeah.
these is what you could get.
So if you needed like
I'm
a brass writing instrument, it would be one of those.
yeah. I'm curious. What do you think about a leather NATO?
I think this is my first time seeing
Oh,
one.
really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so for me, I feel like NATO straps on watches, they already add like a lot of bulk just because there's like so much material and you have to like fold it over sometimes.
Yeah, and the
At least
double
for me, I have
pass-through.
smaller wrists. Yeah. And it needs that extra material because of the function of the design. It's supposed to be like a fail safe, right? If one of
Yeah.
the spring bars breaks and whatever, you don't lose your watch.
Yeah.
And then leather just makes that even more thick, I guess. And you even lose like water resistance. Not that this Timex is probably doing like diving or anything. But
Although
it's just like an interesting.
this may be like a Zulu single pass through. Just to
Mm,
differentiate, NATO is a style that folds in on itself, so there's two pieces of material under the watch itself.
yeah,
Whereas
like an
Zulu,
extra one.
is usually these rounded clasps, and it's only a single pass through under the watch.
Yeah. Well,
Generally,
Aram said that this is a NATO strap, but yeah,
yeah,
I just think it's interesting to think about the materials of even accessories like the NATO strap too.
yeah.
We're always thinking about materials and how they fit into the application, right?
That's kind of like what we're talking about, right? When you've already experienced a lot of stuff, what's going to be the differentiator of what you get next or what you use next? It's
Hmm.
usually going to be like a side grade or a minor improvement, just like a minor optimization of something, or like a change of
Yeah,
material. And yeah,
yeah,
when you're thinking about like EDC all the time or your gear all the time, then all you can think of is what's the next upgrade or what's the next improvement or what's the next side grade to try out. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, if I had to guess, Aram's like thought process or journey here, maybe this Timex came on like a regular like fabric kind of strap, like a nylon strap or something,
Mhm.
and they're like, yeah, I like this design and the functionality of it, but I wish it matched like the rest of my aesthetic.
True.
So then they just got like a leather version of it. That could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
what happened.
yeah,
So yeah, looks solid.
yeah.
Thanks, Aram, for sending that.
Also,
We got a
nice
couple.
leather valet tray where everything is
Oh
on as
yeah,
well.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. We got a few more. So this one is from a submitter to our website. They say, I am 33 from Singapore and I work in tech. Ooh, there's actually a long description to this. So I'm going to read it just because I appreciate that they took the time to give us so much context. They said, while a lot of my work as an analyst in the fintech world is on a computer, I handwrite wherever I can. When I do, I usually use my fountain pens, pictured, and that's the oh my gosh, this is another German brand. So it's spelled like Kaweco, but I bet you it's like Kavico or something because how
I've always said
W's are
co-echo.
V's.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. Same with like the luggage, Rimowa. It's actually Remova. So I think this is like Cavico
Ooh,
or Kavico
tricky.
or something. Um, yes, so that's that. And then there's a Lamy 2000. This is my favorite fountain pen of all time.
Classic.
Yeah, on a Muji.
Quintessential, I would say.
Yeah, Muji A6. Yeah, and then there's a wallet and multi-tool here from Roxxon, and then a Streamlight MicroStream, another quintessential, the Orbit key in this like soft thing, and then a Hamilton Khaki Murph 42 mil. So the
Mm,
one that was in Interstellar, not the smaller 38 mil Murph.
yeah.
Anyway, so let's go back to what they were saying. They said these two are my favorites, and they are workhorses for my collection of fountain pens for when I'm not at home. The notebook is where I jot down everything on my mind, which ranges from what's making me anxious or happy at that moment, what I thought of the meal I just had, or what I thought of the movie I just saw, and my ever growing wish list. So I appreciate
So
that
say
this
we all.
person, yeah, is so introspective. So next, the multi tool is a new acquisition. I just got it off Amazon. After seeing a review on YouTube, I usually carry a separate knife, scissors, etc. But this nifty tool has it all in one package. The blade is D2, which is also fantastic. Then lastly, or not lastly, but the light has been with me since day one of getting into EDC. It's a Streamlight, and I haven't found a reason to replace it yet. Based.
Amen.
Well, if you think hard enough, you can find some flaws because that's just how the brain works, right? So the watch was a gift to myself after seeing Interstellar, one of my favorite movies. It's a 42 mil,
Nice.
which was the size worn in the movie. That's what I said earlier. Okay,
Good
then
call out.
yeah. Lastly, the Orbit key contains my keys and a flash drive, and the wallet is a front pocket wallet from Popov Leather, which I've had and carried for a couple of years now. So I immediately appreciate how considered all this is. They have something to
Yes.
say about everything, and it all goes together, and it makes sense for what they do, and
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 we
not
love
even just like
seeing
what they do, by the way, because they said they work in tech on a computer most of the time, but for everything outside of that, they are prepared. I think
and I
that's
love seeing this like full description as walking you through
mhm.
walking us through how and why each piece is in the carry, right? Because
Yeah,
it's also it's nice to do it by yourself, right? Like this is what I'm going to be using. I enjoy using this. I enjoy this kind of paper. This wallet works for me, and being able
yeah,
to articulate that helps you think about how to like improve or to like see where the discrepancies are or where like the weaknesses of your carry are, right? If you go through this
Mhm.
process of like really thinking about everything that you're using and why you're using it or why it's part of your EDC, it just like, yeah.
Yeah, I have like really nothing to like recommend to this because it's very clear that this person
Mhm.
has thought a lot about the gear and it's working for them. I just want to highlight and appreciate how, like you were saying, this kind of well articulated like exploration into why and how they chose everything. I think just hearing this being said by someone that isn't us for once,
Yes.
just
We're
shows
not
you and teach
crazy.
exactly just shows you and teaches you how to think about your own gear and maybe what kind of questioning or things to consider when you're on your own journey of like finalizing or not. It's not you're never going to finalize your EDC, but um, fine tuning your EDC. It's just nice to have such a detailed, insightful description. So I really appreciate that.
And I love how this EDC is a culmination of like the past few episodes and the past few discussions we've had about
Mm-hmm.
the value of pens,
Yeah.
quintessential gear,
Yeah.
gear from movies. It's like
Yeah.
all of these are combining into this one person. It's like this is a person that's truly one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can even kind of tell just by the choices they make, like what they value and like what they're nerds about.
Mm,
Because like they're probably not a flashlight nerd, even though flashlight nerds love the Streamlight Microstream, but like he
mm,
just hasn't thought of or felt the need to upgrade it, right?
yeah.
But you could like research titanium flashlights and like want that. But I think this person likes fountain pens and watches and
Mm,
stationary
agreed.
because those are the standouts in terms of their picks here.
Yeah,
IMO,
agreed.
yeah. So as a fellow fountain pen watch enjoyer, thank you for the submission. So I think
Absolutely.
we'll end it there as far as submissions go. Really good round this week, and soon we will be posting these on the website with full description and everything, so you guys can refer back to that there. And if you want to submit, you can do that on the forum that we have on our website. So if you go to everydaycarry.com and on the top, there's a link to submit your EDC. That's the best way for you to get your EDC reviewed by us here on the pod.
Absolutely. And yeah, share if you can articulate, if you can share with us why you like what's in your EDC. That's gives us a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Gives us a lot to lets you resonate with other users who like similar tastes with you. Yeah, we just love hearing about why you like your stuff.
Yes, and also please give us a list of the items, and
Yes.
if you are merciful, how to pronounce them if they're in a different language, and we will try. So that just about wraps it up for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you did, please subscribe. If you're listening through a podcast service and you really enjoy what we do here, please consider leaving a review and a positive rating, as it would really help the podcast. You can follow us on social media for more content daily on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all of that will be linked below. But if you want to be part of our EDC community, feel free to hop into our Facebook group or Discord server for more real-time discussion with other EDCers. Lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered on the show, you can shoot us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com. Thank you so much for listening to Carried Away. I'm Bernard.
I'm Mikey. Thanks for listening.
And until the next one, peace.